Let's now explore the requirements for your 2 lesson plans. While I am making just one video because the requirements for both lesson plans are identical, I am going to post it twice so you have it underneath each resource. As you can see here, Lesson Plan 1, I've provided the lesson plan rubric, the MVNU lesson plan form, and your submission site. Down here, again, this is the same lesson plan rubric and the same MVNU lesson plan form, but I just wanted to make sure that you had all materials in each section without having to hunt or remember to go click here instead of here. I just thought it'd be easier to have it under one umbrella. So when I'm done with this, making this video, you will see the video posted twice. It's the same video. You don't need to watch it both times. If you go down to your candidate guide, actually, I just wanted to reiterate that you have 2 instructional lesson plans. They're worth 50 points each. And so you're going to integrate your understanding of individuals with exceptional learning needs and the knowledge that you've gained of developmentally effective approaches to teaching by designing instructional lesson plans. And you're going to design a total of 2 plans, choosing from any of the following areas. And you already signed up for which areas you chose, so make sure you look at the presentation schedule. I have the presentation schedule here linked at the top of assignments. I also have it linked still under week 1, where I originally showed you it was located. But if you signed up for a writing spelling skills lesson and a reading fluency comprehension lesson, then the weeks that are beside those topics are the weeks that they are due. So make sure you understand that as you look ahead. Each plan needs to include a clearly stated objective, referenced to Ohio standards, and differentiated for individual student needs. A great way to discover how to write individualized, differentiated goals is by looking at the Universal Design for Learning module that is on the IRIS Center website. I'm actually going to add that to your list of helpful resources for this project because they have a great example, clear examples of a traditional objective versus an objective that would meet the needs of multiple students. So I will link to that and share that. Then you also need to make sure you have age-appropriate assessment incorporated into the lesson plan, materials, resources, and services to meet the exceptional learning needs of the students that you will be either teaching in a whole group or a small group, or even if it's one-on-one, either way it needs to be tailored to the specific needs of the learners in your lesson. There needs to be bias-free procedures that support goals from the IEP. So instead of saying there will be a written product, perhaps you have a student in your class who can only do text-to-speech assistive technology products. So you might say students will produce a product that encompasses blah, 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 blah. So you're looking at the skills more than the way that those skills are being demonstrated. So you're giving multiple options for the way that the product will be created instead of saying they're going to all write. You know, is that hopefully we will get a chance to explore this even more in class, but just as a brief overview of bias-free procedures, that's making sure that if you have students with certain needs, none of the wording you're choosing is excluding any of those students, but that it's either open-ended enough to encompass many different needs or specific enough that you are detailing this group of students is doing the project this way and this group of students will be needing the modifications outlined below. You're also going to look at appropriate assistive or instructional technology that could be included to better support your lesson plan. So you may want to put one or both of these lesson plans onto your showcase portfolio. I'm not requiring it, but it would be a great product for you to share. If you look at the lesson plan rubric, first off, you can see that you will be meeting CEC standards 1, 3, 4, 8, and 9 by the successful completion of this project. When you're writing your objectives for the lesson plan, exemplary shows that you have stated a behavior, a condition, and criteria for successfully meeting the lesson objective. You've also referenced the Ohio standards, benchmarks, and indicators, and differentiated for individual student needs as based on pre-assessment evidence. Okay, and that's a slash there. So there could be pre-assessments or evidence that you know this student needs this differentiation. The difference between competent and exemplary is, did you provide differentiation in your goal or not? In assessment, we're looking at age-appropriate assessments aligned with your objective for the lesson. We're looking at pre and post-assessment procedures that provide evidence for progress monitoring. So if there's IEP goals, which there should be, this should be tied to IEP goals, you're going to be doing ongoing progress monitoring to see, is this student working toward the successful completion of their IEP goal? Are they showing adequate progress? So how are you going to be showing that? Through what progress monitoring tool will you be using to record the student's progress toward their IEP goal? Also, your assessment products are differentiated for individual student needs, and there's a great part of the lesson plan that helps you with that. I can show you in a minute. And then assistive technology is considered and used where appropriate. Again, the difference between exemplary and competent is, did you have a differentiated assessment product? For materials, you're looking for specialized materials, resources, supplementary aids and services that are differentiated to meet the individual learning needs of the target student group or student with whom you will be working in this lesson. So you also are giving consideration to ways that materials can be adapted and that assistive technology can be incorporated into your lesson. The difference between these two, again, is the lack of adapted materials and assistive technology. That would put you down incompetent if you decided not to explore those options, which this is very important. So I hope and I trust that each of you will include this in your lesson plan. For procedures, I'm looking for high quality, bias-free introduction to the lesson, a strong development and closure that, again, they're high quality, they're really looking at the student needs, they're specific enough that a substitute could come in and clearly understand how you want the lesson differentiated and applied for each of your students. Then also the instruction is evidence-based, specialized, and allows all learners to access high-quality instruction. Many of you shared that you're already working in specially designed instructional units, and so you've got students whose needs you can draw from as you're creating these lesson plans. You have freedom of what subject you are exploring. It should be reading-based, reading and writing intervention strategies, since that's the goal of this course. But you could tie reading and writing needs into a content area lesson plan, because we know that the Common Core wants us to be reading and writing across the curriculum. And that's just a good mark of a quality educator anyway, is expecting our students to do those literacy activities in any content that we're teaching. So as long as you're really considering the needs of students and considering the ways that you can adapt literacy instruction to meet the needs of those students, you will be on your way to meeting this project with success. The difference between the exemplary and the competent area in the procedures section is that you didn't quite use high quality speech and materials. You didn't really, it's appropriate, but it's not elaborated on sufficiently. If I was a sub, I might be kind of confused by some of the steps in your procedures. Adaptations and modifications. For exemplary status on this criterion, you need to draw upon evidence to build in many options for differentiated strategies, accommodations, and modifications, and also consider technologies and adaptations that would be helpful for particular student needs. In the competent section, you're including some evidence-based differentiated strategies, accommodations, and modifications, but not many with the depth and breadth and the assistive technology piece built in that you would need. Okay? One last section I want to go over is the lesson plan itself. I heard many of you the other day say this is not new to you. You have used the lesson plan many different times, but I just want to make sure that you see there is the theme, the topic, the essential understandings that the students will gain from this lesson, your measurable objective with the behavior and the criteria, everything that needs to be in there. And then also your tie to the Common Core academic content standards. Let me side note on this. if you are using this in a content area lesson, so let's say you are going to be supporting students' ability to extract key ideas and main ideas and key details out of a history context, then you need to have both an ELA standard and a content area standard referenced here in this section, okay? So if it's just a straight English language arts lesson, just an ELA standard is fine. But if you are doing a content area tie-in with literacy embedded into a science lesson or a math lesson or a social studies lesson, then make sure you have that content area standard also referenced here. Okay, here's examples of assessment. This is the great place where you would differentiate for your pre-assessment, formative assessment, summative assessments for this lesson. Here's where you will talk about what time each part and procedure will take and why this is the purpose behind that step. Your materials, here's teacher materials, here's student materials. This is a great place again to discuss, okay, how are my materials going to be adapted? Don't just list out the materials, but also put side notes on ones that would need adapted. Your closure, assignments. Now here is a great place to think about how you would also differentiate the physical layout of the room, the seating and grouping, any management issues you foresee. But as you are going through your learning activities, really think about the product and the content and the process for delivering that instruction and how you can differentiate those three components to help you. If you have any questions, I am here for you. Good luck.